Okay, let's jump right into something that, well, it touches on desire, identity, and maybe a bit of history, too. Luxury consumerism.
Right.
That feeling, owning something truly special, something that kind of signifies achievement, that quietly, or maybe not so quietly, says you've made it,
It's a really powerful concept, isn't it? Globally, I mean. But today we're focusing in on a very specific and I think fascinating context,
which is
understanding what drives Yamanin consumerism, specifically in Makati in the Philippines.
Yamanin. Okay, I've heard that term.
It
For those listening who aren't familiar, could you just give us a quick definition? What does that really mean?
Absolutely. Yamanin is just a brilliant Filipino slang term. It basically describes individuals or even products that just project this air of wealth, of exclusivity. It
Ah,
comes straight from the word yaman, which means wealth. But it's not just about having money. It's very much focused on the display, the perception of being affluent. It's a status thing.
got it. Like showing off wealth or perceived wealth.
Exactly. And the source material guiding our deep dive today is a really insightful study looking right at this.
Which one is that?
It's titled The Consumer Behavior of Yayaman, Marketing Factors That Drive Makati-Based Consumers Towards Status-Oriented Products. It's by Santos, Babante, Celso, and Pagdatun.
Okay, so a solid piece of academic work grounding this.
Yeah, it's great because it zeroes in on this specific cultural phenomenon, but it also connects it back to, established marketing theories.
So our mission today then is pretty clear. We're going to unpack what marketing factors really influence these Makati-based consumers, specifically looking across generations X, Y, and Z when they're buying into this whole Yayaman and luxury concept.
Yeah, what does the study tell us straight from the people actually living it?
What actually works?
It gives us a fantastic lens, I think, to see how these big global aspirations kind of meet local culture and history right there in the world of luxury goods.
Okay, so let's unpack this Yayamanin idea a bit more. Where does it really come from?
Mm.
The study points out something interesting. That luxury buying in the Philippines isn't just about, buying expensive stuff. It's deeply tied into the country's expanding middle class
Right.
and this really strong aspiration to appear Mayaman, to appear rich for social status, and maybe even importantly for upward mobility.
That desire for social affirmation, for climbing the ladder, it's a major engine here. The study really highlights that. It's not just about personal pleasure, it's definitely about the social capital you gain.
But why that particular focus on appearing wealthy? And, where did the preference for certain kinds of luxury goods even come from? The study actually traces the roots of this Yayamanin idea quite far back.
Yeah, it goes back to the colonial period, Spanish and American.
Right. That historical context seems crucial.
Oh, absolutely. I
Right.
mean, think about the Manila-Acapulco galleon trade centuries ago. That was basically the pipeline that brought foreign luxury goods, silks, spices, porcelain into the Philippines.
Wow.
And these weren't just things. They became really powerful symbols, symbols of connection to the outside world, symbols of, elite status.
Right. And then all that time under colonization, it fostered this colonial mentality, didn't it, with lasting effects.
Totally. It embedded this idea that foreign products, especially from the colonizers or, Western countries, were just inherently better, superior to anything made locally.
And owning them became the key thing.
Exactly. Owning these foreign items symbolized elevated social status, sophistication. It marked you out.
And the study argues that this legacy, it actually persists today.
Oh, absolutely. It shapes the preference for foreign brands as these key markers of prestige in that whole Yayamanin mindset.
Mm.
And then you layer on a collectivist culture, like in the Philippines, where social influence and fitting in are super important.
Well, the social message your purchase sends becomes incredibly powerful. It's about signaling you belong to an aspirational group.
Okay, so that's the background. Now, how does the study help us understand how brands can actually tap into this? It talks about a framework. Yeah, it integrates two key ideas. There's Vigneron and Johnson's luxury brand perception model, and then the classic marketing mix, the four Ps, product, price, promotion, place.
Right. The four Ps. Let's start with the luxury perception model. Can you break that down simply?
Sure. It's basically foundational because it explains why people see something as luxurious in the first place. It looks at different dimensions.
Like what? Give us an example.
Okay, think about, say, a high-end watch. The model looks at the non-personal factors first. That's how others see you with it.
Okay.
Is it flashy enough to get noticed? That's conspicuousness. Is it like a limited edition? That's uniqueness. Does it just obviously look incredibly well made? That's quality. Those are the external signals it sends.
Got it. Signals to others, and then there are the personal factors, what it means just to you.
Exactly. That's the sheer pleasure you get from wearing it. That's hedonism. Or maybe how wearing it makes you feel more confident, more successful, like a better version of yourself. That's the extended self idea, how the product becomes part of your identity.
Okay, I see. So it's both external perception and internal feeling.
Precisely. And here's where the study gets really interesting, I think.
How so?
It looks at how these deep historical roots, these different luxury perceptions, and the practical tools brands use, the 4Ps, how they all combine to create the specific marketing factors that actually sway consumers in this Yayamanin context.
So it connects the why people want luxury with the how brands effectively reach them.
Exactly. It bridges that gap.
So how did they figure this out? What was the method?
Well, to do this, the researchers did these really in-depth interviews. They talked to Makati-based consumers across the generations, Gen X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
They basically listened to how people talked about their luxury purchases, what influenced them, and then they analyzed the common themes in what people were saying.
And what came out on top? What were the most influential factors overall?
The findings are pretty revealing, yeah.
Yeah.
Based on how often participants mention different marketing approaches as being influential.
Okay, let's hear the countdown. What was number 5?
Coming in at number 5, mentioned 12 times, was word-of-mouth marketing. Still important, you know. Personal recommendations definitely carry weight.
Makes sense. Number 4.
At number 4, with 17 mentions, was influencer marketing or celebrity endorsements.
Influencer marketing. That's interesting. Only 4th.
Yeah, and this is actually one of the study's notable points. The researchers, as they mentioned, they actually hypothesized that influencer marketing would be the most effective strategy overall.
Really? Why?
Well, just given how dominant influencers are now, especially in the digital space, and you see so many Filipino personalities promoting luxury goods, it seemed logical it would be number 1.
But it wasn't. Not overall, anyway.
Right.
Landed at 4th.
Yeah.
That tells you something else is even more powerful, right?
Absolutely. And we'll see later when we break it down by generation where it does have a really significant impact. But overall, 4th.
Okay. What was number 3?
Number 3, with 24 mentions, was aesthetic or design-driven marketing.
That feels right for luxury.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense in this Yayamanin context, doesn't it?
Wow.
The visual appeal, the craftsmanship, the whole look and feel. It's absolutely critical for projecting that image of wealth and exclusivity. It just has to look the part.
Totally. Okay. Number 2.
Number 2, mentioned 31 times, was product attributes marketing.
So the actual features of the product itself.
Right. This speaks to a practical reality, I think. Even when you're buying for status, the product still needs to deliver, you know, on quality, durability, functionality.
Like, it can't just look good. It has to be good.
Exactly. As one participant said, it has to last. That high price needs justification from the inherent value in the product.
Okay, so product attributes at number 2,
Yeah.
which means the number 1 undisputed top marketing factor, mentioned a striking 36 times, was
Lifestyle marketing.
lifestyle marketing,
Yeah.
number 1.
Yeah, this is the really big takeaway, I think, across all the generations studied here. It fundamentally means that for these Yayamanin consumers, buying luxury isn't just about getting an item.
It's about
It's about buying into, or maybe affirming, an aspirational way of life. It's about how that product fits into their identity, gives them emotional fulfillment, helps them express who they are, or maybe who they want to be.
so brands that successfully link their products to a desired lifestyle.
They're hitting the core motivation. They understand it's bigger than the product itself.
That's fascinating. So if we connect this back to the bigger picture then, how do these factors, shift or get emphasized differently across the generations? The study looked at that too, right?
Oh, yeah, it does a deep dive. It acknowledges the importance of generational marketing, tailoring your strategies, because Gen X, Y, and Z, they all grew up in different times, have different experiences, different values. They respond to different cues.
Makes sense. So let's break that down. Where do we start? Gen X.
Yeah, let's look at Generation X first. So born roughly between, say, 1965 and 1980.
Okay, Gen X. What drives them? Interestingly, the study found it wasn't lifestyle marketing number 1 for them, despite the overall finding.
No, for them, the primary driver was actually product attribute or product marketing. That ranked number 1 specifically for Gen X.
Why is that, do you think?
Well, they tend to be generally more value-centric, maybe more pragmatic. They focus heavily on quality, on durability, on the long-term value of a luxury item.
Right.
The study even quotes one Gen X participant saying they see luxury as a good investment for the future. They seem quite self-reliant in their decisions, too.
And the study noted some specifics for Gen X, like what kind of luxury they go for.
Yeah, things like valuing health and wellness, luxury, maybe high-end anti-aging products, specialized hair care, that sort of thing. They're also less swayed by social media influencers.
Right.
They rely more on trusted personal recommendations, maybe their own research. And apparently, physical retail experiences actually going into a store, that's still quite important for them.
Interesting. And what about brands?
They show a strong tendency to trust established legacy global brands. It feels like it's about proven quality, recognition. Why not from a brand that is well known from around the world, as one put it?
And cause marketing.
Right.
Brand supporting causes.
Generally, lower engagement with that compared to the younger generations, according to the study.
Okay, so that's Gen X, pragmatic, value-focused, trusting legacy brands.
Mm-hmm.
Let's shift gears slightly. What about the next cohort? Generation Y, the millennials,
Yeah.
born roughly 81 to 96.
Right, millennials. Now, for them, lifestyle marketing shoots right up to be their number one primary driver.
Ah, okay. So aligning with the overall trend there.
Exactly. They seem very focused on products that align with and express their personal identity, their core values. Luxury is often seen as a kind of reward for their hard work.
But they still care about the product itself.
Right. Oh, yeah. They care about functionality, long-term use, too. But the emphasis is more on how the product is personally relevant to them, how it fits into their life, their aesthetic. The study also found they tend to have a longer consideration phase before actually buying something luxury. They think about it more.
And aesthetics, how important is that?
Incredibly important. It ranked second for them. Aesthetic refinement is key. And the study notes a preference for more minimalist, timeless designs, maybe less flashy or overtly branded stuff compared to other groups might prefer.
Interesting. And influences.
They're influenced by their peers, definitely,
Right.
and also by influencers, but crucially, influencers who are seen as authentic. That word keeps coming up.
Authenticity matters. And local versus global brands.
This is a key point for millennials. They show like moderate to high openness to global brands, sure, but they're also quite open to supporting local Filipino luxury brands if the quality and the style are comparable.
Right.
Yeah, the study includes quotes like, "I'd be open to buying local if the quality is on par," and another one, "Ultimately, I'd support local products because it fits my style." It highlights that kind of balance they strike.
And cause marketing for millennials.
High receptiveness there, especially when the brand's values align with their own, could be sustainability, supporting local artisans, ethical production, things like that. Values alignment is big for them.
Got it. Okay, finally, let's look at Generation Z, born, what, 97 to 2012-ish? How do they approach this Yayamanin luxury idea?
Well, similar to millennials, actually, lifestyle marketing is also their number one primary driver.
Okay, another one for lifestyle.
Yeah. Their focus is intensely on how luxury products integrate into their life, how they reflect their personal values, their identity, their self-expression.
And aesthetics, design.
Also hugely important, ranking second for them. Just like millennials, they seem to find significant emotional value in aesthetics and design. Owning well-designed luxury stuff can provide real emotional benefits like more confidence, happiness, even reduced stress, according to what participants said.
Wow, okay. Emotional benefits.
Mhm.
And influencers. We heard earlier, influencer marketing wasn't number one overall.
Right, but this is where influencer or celebrity marketing has its highest impact among the generations they studied. It ranked third specifically for Gen Z.
Ah, so it is significant for them.
Very significant. As digital natives, they're highly engaged with and influenced by these figures. Makes sense.
But there's probably a catch,
Okay.
right? It's not just any influencer.
Exactly. There's a caveat. They demand authenticity. They want interaction from brands. They value inclusion, what the study calls a strong brand relationship approach. It's not just about a one-way endorsement anymore.
They want a connection.
Yeah, precisely. And like millennials, they show high openness to global brands. But they seem very willing to support local luxury if the quality and the perceived prestige are comparable.
And the examples of that.
Yeah, one Gen Z participant put it very directly. If a local brand can do the same as a luxury brand, I would pick the local brand any time and day. Pretty clear.
Wow, okay. And cause marketing for Gen Z.
Moderate to high receptiveness. They seem often drawn to brands that reflect cultural identity or support local businesses, which ties back again to that desire for authentic expression and values alignment.
Okay, so bringing all these threads together,
Mm.
what does this actually mean for brands, for anyone trying to reach these Yayamanin consumers in Makati.
Hmm.
What's the playbook the study suggests?
Well, I think it means the study really validates that effective marketing needs a pretty sophisticated approach. It has to be grounded in theory, understanding those luxury perceptions we talked about, but also practically applied through the 4 Ps.
And Taylor?
Absolutely crucial. Brands need approaches that are culturally sensitive, emotionally intelligent, and very specifically tailored to the audience.
But the absolute key takeaway, the big headline across the board,
Is prioritize lifestyle marketing. That came through so strongly. Number one overall, number one for Gen Y and Z. Brands have to connect luxury to identity, to emotional value, to personal relevance. It's not just selling a product anymore.
right, it's selling the aspiration, the feeling of belonging to that Yayamanin lifestyle.
Exactly. But then the tailoring based on generation is just non-negotiable for success.
So, quick recap on tailoring.
Sure. For Gen X, emphasize product quality, durability, the idea of long-term value, maybe even investment.
Okay.
For Gen Y, focus on personalized experiences, show your ethical or value alignment, appeal to their taste for sophisticated, often minimalist aesthetics.
Right.
And for Gen Z, leverage authentic influencers, create engaging, interactive, inclusive brand experiences, and really highlight the design and the emotional benefit that come with the product.
That seems very clear.
Right.
Now, this raises that important question that came up earlier. What about local Filipino brands?
Yeah, the study found this significant openness, really across all the generations studied, to supporting local luxury and it's a big if it can meet or even exceed the quality and aesthetic expectations that have been set by international standards.
Okay, so that's a real opportunity there, but definitely a challenge too. What's the advice for local brands then?
The study advises local brands that want to achieve that Yayamanin perception to really invest heavily in building their reputation.
Oh.
Through things like cultural storytelling,
Yeah.
demonstrating premium craftsmanship, embracing sustainability seems important too.
So lean into what makes them unique local.
Exactly. Emphasizing unique local heritage, maybe in design, materials, through authentic narratives. It's not just a marketing angle. It's a way to build a different kind of prestige, one that really resonates with the values of younger consumers, especially Gen Y and Z.
And there are bigger benefits too, right?
Yeah. The study points out this approach naturally aligns with positive development goals, like supporting decent work, SDG 8, fostering local industry and innovation, SDG 9, and encouraging responsible consumption, SDG 12. So it's good business and good for the community, potentially.
So this deep dive into Yayamanin luxury consumption in Makati, it really paints a complex picture, but a clear one in some ways.
Yeah, it's driven by this mix, isn't it?
Yeah.
Historical aspirations, maybe rooted in those colonial preferences, deeply ingrained cultural values that emphasize social status, and then these very distinct generational preferences for how luxury fits into identity and lifestyle.
And lifestyle marketing seems to be the most universally effective approach, kind of the common thread.
Definitely underlines that luxury is fundamentally about a feeling and aspiration. But yeah, those generational nuances are absolutely critical if you want targeted success. You can't just use one message.
And it really leaves you with this thought, doesn't it? Maybe a provocative one to end on.
Go for it.
Given everything we've discussed, the studies look at the historical preference for foreign goods as status markers, but also the finding that Filipino consumers are increasingly open to local luxury if it matches global prestige and quality. Does the path for Filipino brands to truly achieve that coveted Yayamanin status involve primarily just mimicking global standards and aesthetics, or is there maybe a bolder opportunity here, an opportunity to actually forge a new definition of Filipino luxury, one that truly celebrates unique local identity, local craftsmanship above all else?
That's a great question. What would that look like? Definitely something to ponder.